Hey everyone, welcome to Historical World of English, the place where we bring you the latest updates, fun moments, and behind-the-scenes stories you won't want to miss. Norse colonization of North America. The earliest European mention of America can be found in a treatise written by the medieval chronicler Adam of Bremen around 1075. The Norse Vinland sagas also frequently mention America. The strongest archaeological evidence of the existence of Norse settlements in America is located in Canada. There is significant scholarly debate as to whether Norse explorers also made landfall in New England. Early settlements. Main article, European colonization of the Americas. Horses, cattle, and hogs were brought to the Americas by Europeans, who also brought back maize, turkeys, tomatoes, potatoes, tobacco, beans, squash, and maize to Europe. In the Americas, new diseases caused the deaths of many explorers and early settlers. However, the effects of new Eurasian diseases carried by the colonists, especially smallpox and measles, were much worse for the Native Americans, as they had no immunity to them. They were plagued by epidemics and perished in large numbers, typically prior to the beginning of widespread European settlement. The number of deaths disrupted their societies. Spanish contact. Spanish Florida, Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico, and Spanish Texas are the main articles. Additionally, see New Spain and Spanish colonization of the Americas. Spanish explorers were the first Europeans, after the Norse, to reach the present-day United States. After the voyages of Christopher Columbus, beginning in 1492, established possessions in the Caribbean, including the modern-day U.S. territories of Puerto Rico and parts of the U.S. Virgin Islands. In 1513, Juan Ponce de Leon arrived in Florida. The Appalachian Mountains, the Mississippi River, the Grand Canyon, and the Great Plains were all quickly reached by Spanish expeditions. In 1539, Hernando de Soto extensively explored the southeast, and a year later, Francisco Coronado explored from Arizona to central Kansas in search of gold. The horses that Coronado's party escaped spread across the Great Plains, and within a few generations, the Plains Indians mastered horsemanship. Small Spanish settlements eventually grew to become important cities, such as San Antonio, Albuquerque, Tucson, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. Mid-Atlantic Dutch introduction. New Netherland. Additionally, see Dutch settlement of the Americas. In 1609, the Dutch East India Company sent the explorer Henry Hudson to Asia to look for a northwest passage. New Netherland was established in 1621 by the company to capitalize on the North American fur trade. Growth was slow at first due to mismanagement by the Dutch and Native American conflicts. After the Dutch purchased the island of Manhattan from the Native Americans, the land was named New Amsterdam and became the capital of New Netherland. The town rapidly expanded, and in the mid-1600s it became an important trading center. Despite being Calvinists and building the Reformed Church in America, the Dutch were tolerant of other cultures and traded with the Iroquois to the north. A number of wars were fought because the colony prevented British expansion from New England. The colony was taken over by Britain as New York in 1664, and its capital was renamed New York City. Swedish settlement. Main article, New Sweden. In the early years of the Swedish Empire, Swedish, Dutch, and German stockholders formed the New Sweden Company to trade furs and tobacco in North America. Peter Minuit, who had been governor of New Netherland from 1626 to 1631, led the company's first expedition, which landed in Delaware Bay in March 1638. The colonists made treaties with indigenous peoples to acquire land on both sides of the Delaware River and established Fort Christina there, which is now Wilmington, Delaware. The 12 additional expeditions brought Swedish Empire settlers to New Sweden over the next 15 years. The colony established 19 permanent settlements along with many farms, extending into modern-day Maryland, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. It was incorporated into New Netherland in 1655, following a Dutch invasion during the Second Northern War from the neighboring New Netherland colony. French. The French Florida, Louisiana, New France, Canada, New France, Illinois, county, and Ohio, country are the primary articles. See also French colonization of the Americas and New France. Giovanni Verrazzano was the first European to sail into New York Harbor and Narragansett Bay when he arrived in North Carolina in 1524. In the 1540s, French Huguenots settled at Fort Coralline near present-day Jacksonville, Florida. In 1565, Spanish forces led by Pedro Menendez destroyed the settlement and established the first Spanish settlement in what would become the United States, St. Augustine. The majority of French people lived in Quebec and Acadia, modern Canada, where they had extensive trade ties with Native Americans. French colonists lived in farming communities that supplied grain to Gulf Coast settlements in small villages along the Mississippi and Illinois rivers. Along with establishing New Orleans, Mobile, and Biloxi, the French also established plantations in Louisiana. British colonies. Additionally, see British North America and the Americas colonization by the British. In the 1600s, Francis Drake's raids on Spanish treasure ships leaving the New World attracted the English, who settled the area along the East Coast. Starvation, disease, and Native American attacks marked the early British colonies, which were established by private businesses seeking financial gain. Many immigrants were people seeking religious freedom or escaping political oppression, peasants displaced by the Industrial Revolution, or those simply seeking adventure and opportunity. Between the end of the 1610s and the American Revolution, the British sent between 50,000 and 120,000 prisoners to their colonies. Native Americans taught colonists how to cultivate local crops in some areas. In others, they attacked the settlers. Virgin forests provided an ample supply of building material and firewood. Natural inlets and harbors lined the coast, providing easy ports for essential trade with Europe. Because of this, Native American resistance and the interior Appalachian Mountains, settlements remained close to the coast. First settlement in Jamestown. Main articles: Jamestown, Virginia, and Colony of Virginia. The first successful English colony, Jamestown, was established by the Virginia Company in 1607 on the James River in Virginia. The colonists were preoccupied with the search for gold and were ill-equipped for life in the New World. Captain John Smith held the fledgling Jamestown together in the first year, and the colony descended into anarchy and nearly failed when he returned to England 2 years later. John Rolfe began experimenting with tobacco from the West Indies in 2012, and by 1614 the first shipment arrived in London. It became Virginia's chief source of revenue within a decade. After years of disease and Indian attacks, including the Powhatan attack in 1622, King James I made Virginia a royal colony in 1624 and revoked the Virginia Company's charter.